stage Shane Hurlbut, ASC, industry disruptor, incredible cinematographer, guy who likes to live on the edge a little bit, and his lovely wife, Lydia. Gosh, what do you say about Lydia? Incredible business coach, really a voice trying to push forward females in the business industry. Lots and wonderful things to say about wellness and health, and we just can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So I will rescind the floor to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Steffi, and
you,
Condor
Steffi.
Blue and Lucas and the whole team. Thank you so much for putting this together and giving us a platform to kind of talk about the beauty within the chaos, Lydia. Lydia and I we grew up in a very small town, Aurora, New York, on the coast of Cayuga Lake. We started dating in 10th grade, and we have been married 37 years in an industry that spits marriages out. And you see a lot of creatives that are on their third and fourth marriage. And we're going to kind of tell you how we've been able to keep this all together for 37 plus years and actually 49 years of being together.
Okay, wow. I have no answers. What I know to be true is that your person is your person, and you're my person. And it really is about the love that you feel and the commitment to that person.
Exactly. And, you know, Lydia and I, we went to school in Boston together, and she got a job in Los Angeles working for Children's Hospital. So we made that trek. We had my parents gave us a Ford Ranger pickup truck. We rented a U-Haul trailer, and we literally drove across America. We camped across because we didn't have enough money. And sure enough, when we landed, we were kind of smacked right into the face of what Hollywood is and trying to break into the industry.
And I think that Hollywood is changing so much, as we've all been talking about. But the one thing that doesn't change is the demand of the career, the hours, the exhaustion, the single-pointed focus, the pull that you feel from doing a good job and what is demanded of you on set, and your family. And if you choose whatever the family is, whether you get married, whether you have kids, whether it is your original OG family, but I think that it's so important to really look at everything pulling at filmmakers, because I have so much compassion, and also being the person juggling it all as so many women do. I think that we need to understand our capacity so that we can be the best, just like you all do, and to surround yourself with a team, and whether that is family, whether that is friends, to really lift you up, to keep you inspired, to keep you out of anger and resentment, and when your capacity has been maxed, not being the best version of who you are.
No, I mean, luckily we had the ability of, you know, I come to Los Angeles, you're working, you basically supported me for almost 2-3 years for me to get started. I'm doing all these like deferred pay jobs and making $5 an hour packing grip trucks at this company called Keylight that then became Hollywood Rentals, that then became MBS. You know, it's like we were struggling and we were not, you know, it wasn't any magic bullet. It takes a lot of resilience, and it takes a lot of, whoa, somebody, what did we get? 9 seconds over there? Oh my God.
We've got a lens.
This is not going to be good for me. 9 seconds. Shit, I was doing 13 and 12 the other day. Oh boy. But you know, it's the kind of thing where at least I was building my career so you could start to understand, like, you know, it was just long hours but I was still in LA.
Yeah.
Then I started doing bigger budget commercials, and I started to slowly go out of town.
Yes.
So, the ramp up for you was not like you married a cinematographer and he's gone for, 6 months. So, my wife is one of the most resilient women I've ever seen in my life. And that's the whole reason our relationship is at 37 years.
Well, thank you. But I have to say that I think it really is, it doesn't matter what level you're at, because the spouse, the significant other, the person that is staying at home or going on the road, they have so many challenges too. And I think the challenges come from communication, from juggling their own career, because I was working the entire time and building Filmmakers Academy and building my own coaching business. And so everything fell into my lap. And I think that it's really easy to get into resentment mode as the spouse, feeling like you literally have to do it all. And I think what keeps you healthy and out of that is to constantly talk about what is the rejigger, what does the recalibration need to look like, because it's different for every single family. It is different for every person, and not to let that build, because I think that it's having those touch points of communication really regularly. And Brene Brown talks about this so beautifully, but she talks about getting in the rumble and having that conversation that is really difficult, and not trying to bring the feelings into it of anger and like, you're making me so mad.
Right.
But just to be like, okay, we're finding ourselves here, and what do we, Shane and Lydia, do about it so that Lydia feels supported and Shane feels good about it? Because there's guilt. There's so many emotions that come into play. There is anger, resentment, guilt, dissatisfaction, so many things. And I think it's like you have to let the emotions feel and play out, and not try to suppress those and support the person feeling them. And then get into solution mode for the brain, because when you're on this emotional roller coaster, there's no logic. Logic has left every building, and you're just feeling whatever it is.
No, and I think that also it was so important for you and I to just be able to have the ability to vent.
Yes.
Right? It's like I would come, I would be wherever I was, New Mexico, Prague, all over the world. And I would just say, I had the shittiest day on the planet,
Or the
and
greatest
this wasn't
day.
working out, or the greatest day,
Yeah.
or this was, I failed, but then I was able to make the day at the end, whatever it is. But the venting is so important, where we can just, constantly bounce off. And you would call me up and like, the kids are just killing me, Miles is going off the rails. And I mean, and I'm trying to like, okay, how can I help from, 6,000 miles away?
And in the conversation is the creativity. And that is where filmmakers are so brilliant, right? Because it's like the minute that you can get curious and get into the creative brain. So it doesn't really matter where the person is located so much, like Prague and US. Okay, we're on different time zones, and we figure that part out. But then it's like, really, how do we connect with whatever technology is available as a family or as a couple to solve this struggle for the other person? And I think that's really where it starts. And then we kind of were like, okay, let's do a morning routine together so that we can be in sync with each other and not feel like we're two independent people living two totally different schedules and two totally different lives.
That's what I love that we started doing.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought our connectivity 6,000 miles away was on point. Lydia and I would literally create our own basically a morning ritual that we would do, different time zones that we would both do together.
Yeah.
And she would do a morning meditation. I would do the same. We would have the different, we'd create a word, that we would live by for the whole
Every year. Yep.
Yeah. Mine this year was patience. I should have never picked that word. That was the wrong word for this year.
And mine was infinite possibilities. And that's been a really great mantra. Like limitless possibility.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, and she would share the meditation that she did. I would share mine. Then we'd circle back and say what we loved about it, what we learned about our day. But we always would regroup every single day.
and here's another really fun thing, like anything that you're doing in the day, this is what we've really noticed, is sharing it with your kids or sharing it with your best friends. It's really hard with the crazy hours and the schedule, and nobody understands it unless they're in the film industry. I mean, truthfully, right? How do you explain it unless you live it? And so, because you're always, I remember with your parents very specifically, they lived in New York. We were in LA. We could never make a plane ticket for any holiday until the very last second.
Yep.
And it was like, hey, we're coming in 2 days. And that was just our life. But that flexibility is so critical. And so we'd be sharing all of these things with our kids, with our parents, with our friends. And that's a way to connect, so that connection is the currency for love, and for its connection is currency. And I think that that's the biggest, most
Yeah, and
important
just
thing.
the communication of like just saying, how are you? And just checking in on each other and saying, are you okay? How's it going? I mean, just that constant check-in, because the film industry is like, we're being deployed. Remember that time just like 3 years ago, we were literally about ready to go someplace for the Christmas holiday. And I got this call like on the 15th of December to go to South Carolina to shoot a commercial that the director of photography that they had hired was only able to do like 5 shots on the board. And I was called in to deliver 55 shots in one day in 3 different location moves. So I literally was called at 11 o'clock at night, and I had to be on a plane at 6 a.m. the next day. And those are the kind of things that you're like, wait, what? We're like, and we have to be able to react to it, and we have to be able to be okay with it and communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And, understand the curveballs.
And I think what's really critical is to have routines when you're not working, to plan out times when you can connect as a family, like right when a job ends, to have everybody have something to look forward to, and to have touch points throughout the year where it's like, work does not consume 365 days of the year 24/7.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's one thing that we tried to do, is take those family vacations where we plan them every year. The minute the kids got out of school, whether I was on a movie or whatever, we would try to dial in a wonderful family vacation, whether it was 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe sometimes it was only 2 or 3 days that you could come down and be on location with me. And that was always difficult. The kids seeing me and then having to leave when they were very young, that is a very difficult time. Remember how FaceTime was awful? Oh, my God. We started using FaceTime. We thought that would be the greatest link, and they're like, oh, where's Dad? Where'd he go?
And then there would be screaming and tantruming.
And like, he's not here. And like, oh, my God, this FaceTime shit, we got to stop it. We just got to have a phone call. Because the minute they saw me, they thought I was there. They thought I was.
When they're little, it's so hard. So I think it's adapting to the age. And the crazy thing is that when your kids get through all of these ages and stages and they're a little bit older, now you're juggling their work schedules with yours and trying to get a family vacation now.
Oh my God.
Is even more challenging.
It's like, it is so difficult.
And they get so upset about it too.
Yeah, they're like, we need to take more family vacations. And we're like, okay, well,
like
let's go then. And we're like,
this.
oh, we can't do this. We got to work here. We got this. I'm like, see, oh my God, it's not so easy, And it's just been kind of a a roller coaster ride now that they're working and
Yes.
have jobs and commitments and everything. They're not as free as they were before.
As they were. And I think that, you never really figure it out. There is no balance.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I just want to take a stake in the ground for is work-life balance is an illusion. It is false. It is a lie. And I think we're always set up to think, okay, I'm achieving this work-life balance and I'm doing such a great job. And it's not. Because when work is demanding, work is all consuming. When it's not, it's not. And it's really figuring out your flow of what works for you as a human with your capacity, what works for your family situation, what works for your career. And that is constantly shifting on quicksand.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have, you hear all different versions of how filmmakers have raised their kids,
Yes.
right? There's some that drag them along with them everywhere they go, every city, every country. They're grabbing their kids, they're taking them, they're homeschooling them, or they're putting them in international schools or whatever,
Yeah.
and just jet setting all over.
And that's awesome if the family loves adventure and travel and is very adaptable to time zones and, not having a home base other than the family home base.
Right. And then what Lydia and I did was we wanted our kids to have a home base.
Yeah.
We wanted them to be able to have friends that they had in grade school and high school.
Very
And
similar to the way that we grew up with AYSO soccer and
and them all playing sports and
you
in
ran to
dance
the
and in
neighbor's
baseball.
house. Yeah.
It's like all that stuff that you never are able to do if you're bouncing all over the globe.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's give them a home base, because I also looked at a lot of my family and my cousins and stuff that had moved like 15, 18 times.
Yeah.
And, they never really had a foundation, and their whole brick and mortar of their life and family structure was kind of on sand. And we both decided that that's not what we didn't want to do that.
And I think that for us, the reason that we chose that was we still have best friends from grade school.
Yeah.
That are some of our best friends on the planet Earth that I consider to be my siblings, because Shane and I don't have any brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we're both only children.
And so our poor kids needed some aunts and uncles. And those are the grade school, kindergarten OG friends.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we still have, you have a group of probably 8 or 9 that are all from grade school, and I have 6,
And we have these group chats. And this is another thing that I love is that from the grade school people, friendships are so important in your life. And I think that everybody would agree with that. And friends lift you up. They keep you inspired. They keep you going. And these friend group chats just are unbelievable since the pandemic. We've started doing that. So that's another really great thing where you can be anywhere in the world and just text your friends and know that in this massive text chat that they're thinking of you. They're sending you pictures, really.
Yeah, you're able to live through the chat, share pictures, share, congratulations on all your friends' kids graduated college this year. And we were able to see, and it's, again, that community nature
is so important.
It's like you had such great friends to surround yourself with that helped you in like Terminator Salvation. I was gone for 11 months.
Yes.
And and everyone said, well, Shane, why didn't you just jet back? You were only in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well, I was shooting second unit as well as first unit, and second unit was the weekends. Yeah. So it's like I did 42 days straight on Terminator just to dial in the second unit DP, and then I was able to kind of just completely exhausted, relax at that point.
And let me say that movie literally broke me.
Oh, I know.
at the end of 11 months, I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore, because Shane was on track to do action adventure pictures where that would become the norm. And we really had to have that conversation of like, look, I can't handle this much solo. And I think, again, it's knowing your capacity, being able to have that conversation. And we literally kind of together steered Shane's career in a completely different way, because after Terminator, though I'm so grateful for everything, that was too much for me.
No, exactly. And this is, you as an artist have to listen to your soulmate, and you have to, talk it through. And I was just so in it that I couldn't see out of it. And you were like, supported you this whole time. I tried to balance single parenting. I tried to continue my work and everything. And I'm calling uncle.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah. And we pivoted.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also know that there's always an option. I think that we get so it has to be this way because otherwise I can't make money doing what I'm doing. And I think it's just really about being open to possibility and seeing opportunities and understanding that there's so many possible options. But when you're in fear mode and scarcity mode and clamped down, you can't see any options because the brain is in a different part of the brain, the reptilian brain, and it's not in the logical thinking mode. And this is why understanding how our brains work really help us in business, in life, because to get into possibility and creativity, you've got to be relaxed. And so there are always options. And I think this is a happy way to end this, right?
Yes.
There's always possibility. And even in a time when the industry is struggling, just as relationships struggle, families struggle, you get through it. And through the struggle, you have a deeper connection. You have a deeper love.
Yes.
And so struggle is not always awful. It's painful to go through, but I think a lot of times what comes out on the other side is beautiful.
Yeah, and I think you really have to have the resilience to forge ahead through that. And you have to build, in this business, you really have to build what I call that alligator skin.
Yes.
Because, you're going to get pushed and shoved and asked to do the impossible and try to, along with all that, stay on schedule, stay on budget, and then balance the family and the kids and all that stuff. But I think through all of it, I cannot be happier with our relationships and who we are as, soulmates for life. And
I feel the same way. And I think anything is possible. And it's like really understanding yourself, doing the inner work so you know what you need and how to show up as your best version.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. At the Condor Blue booth, the beauty within the chaos.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.